isn't it? So, we had 17. Oh, hi, David. Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry, I was muted here. I was going to say that I'm coming to you from Starfleet headquarters in San Francisco, but as you can see from the background, but actually I'm in Los Angeles, and I just retired from being full time at Los Angeles Valley College as as an instructor of astronomy in the planetarium and observatory director.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm adjunct.
So is
So
Slooh new to you, or
you
are
know,
you already a member?
I I I've heard of it. I've actually we've actually tuned into a couple of the web events that you've had
Okay.
for partial eclipses. We have a monitor in our exhibit hall of our planetarium that's normally tuned to something called View Space from the Space
Yeah.
Telescope Institute, and that's a self-running program. But we tuned into yours because it was your guys were offering commentary and some telescopic views of a couple of the
Right. Okay.
partial eclipses, and we it was really great because we ran our own telescopes, but then you should go downstairs. You have this running commentary about it, which really kind of added. So we
How long ago was that? Was that some time ago?
that was a few years ago. I've
Okay.
forgotten what
So,
it was either a partial eclipse or I think it was a transit. I think it was a transit actually of either Mercury or
oh yeah, we
Venus.
did the Mercury transit. That was the one
Mercury.
that I was reporting live from the Canary Islands Observatory when I used my British sarcastic humor about pointing out the second sun that NASA was keeping secret from us.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the most viral moment that Slooh has ever had. And there's a couple of guys. I've forgotten what their YouTube channel is, but there's a couple of guys who did a lovely little skit about it, where one of them is pretending kind of, what's this guy saying, and the other guy is saying, well, this guy's British, British humor, right? And yeah, so that was great fun actually, and it was a terrific event as well. I love, David, those kind of lengthier events, like the lunar eclipse that we had a couple of weeks ago. So hey, Steve Bremer Brimer
Raymer,
Bramer, hi, where are you talking from?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. And are you a Slooh member, or are you totally new to us?
I'm totally new. I'm a retired high school teacher who does adjunct work at Augsburg University.
Oh, well, David
Yeah,
and Steve, you sound like you've got identical backgrounds. So
yeah. So
that's
I'm
quite
just
cool.
just interested in what I can tell my colleagues about this as well.
Okay. Well, feel free. Everybody can always feel free to drop me an email, paul@slooh.com, if you want to learn anything beyond what we're going to go through tonight. So we've left it a couple of minutes. We had so many registrants tonight. We're doing a little bit of a test tonight to see whether or not a weekend can actually tease out a few more registrants into actually
Well,
joining.
the problem, if I may, the problem is you picked a holiday weekend.
Well, there is that. Well, it's a holiday weekend, of course, in the USA.
In
But
the U.S., yeah,
yeah,
U.S.
and this is my problem, David, working for a US company out of the UK, that the folks in the USA at headquarters are working when there's a UK holiday, but I don't
Oh,
I don't ever feel like I can take a US holiday off. So I
yeah.
kind of get the worst of both worlds. But anyway, listen, we've got I'll introduce you to a couple of other people as well. We've got Milton, Keith, and Gretchen here. They're actually Slooh members. They're kind of ambassadors, champions, we call them, of Slooh. So thanks, guys. I just sent a little note out to our Discord server. But David, Steve, don't feel obliged to stick around. But the fact that there's so few of us, do please butt in and ask questions. So I'm going to give a very broad kind of overview, first of all, of the platform, but please pile in with any questions. And Gretchen, Keith, Milton, please shout out, if I'll actually come to you a little bit later and ask you if there are any tips that you can give. So Gretchen's got her spooky lamp that switches on and off of its own accord. So Gretchen will often get plunged into total darkness. I've got my moon illuminated up here. Isn't 3D printing wonderful? We're only a few of us here. So can we geek out a little bit? 3D printing. This is kind of it's overexposed in here, and I can't turn it down any paler. But what you can't see is this got full relief on it. Oh, you can see a little bit. These things are absolutely wonderful. 3D printing, nearly got into 3D printing, but didn't quite. What I really wanted to do, for those of you who don't know, I'm an architect by profession, and I do computer-aided design and all that kind of stuff. And I model the observatories in 3 dimensions because these are totally robotic observatories. We'll have a quick look at them in a minute. But the Chile Observatory has 3 telescopes in it. And the largest telescope, 17-inch telescope, when it slews into a certain position, we're amongst, I don't think we've got anybody European here. So we're all USA here. So I can hark back to my youth and talk in imperial units. 1/2 an inch is how close the telescope gets to the dome wall. 3/4 of an inch is when 2 of the telescopes can point in a certain direction, and that's how close they are. And I have to model all of this in 3D. But what I really want to do is be able to, you can do some dome footage, and you can turn that into a 3D model of the site. I would love to get a 3D model so everybody could print off and really geek out their own 3-dimensional model of the observatory. We've got another person coming in. It's a bit disjointed tonight because I haven't got anybody in the studio, so I am single-handedly juggling this. I've got 2 computers, 3 screens. Scott Hildreth is just joining us. So anyway, I suppose I ought to do a proper introduction, hadn't I? I'm Paul Cox, Slooh astronomer. Been with Slooh for 17 years. It's called the Online Telescope at Slooh. And basically we run 2 observatories, online telescopes, anybody can control. We'll take a look at how easy it is to control in a minute. 1 observatory is in the Canary Islands, which is 300 miles off the west coast of Africa, which is perfect for all of you who are in the United States. But we also have an observatory in Chile outside of Santiago, which gives us full sky coverage, which is all quite good. But anyway, let's take a quick look at the Slooh website. So here we are, I'm logged in. This is what we call the dashboard. This is where we arrive when we're logged in. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump ahead because I'd like to, we turn some of these webinars on their head at the moment, and we'd like to show you what students and members produce at the end of what we call quests, which are our learning activities. Excuse me. So what we've got here is, and unfortunately, I'm going to have trouble advancing these because I've got too many things on my screen, can't say it, but let's see if this works. There we go. So these are quest posters. These are infographic posters, and everything, all of the images that you see here, so the image of the moon there is taken with the Slooh telescope. So that is a snap from the live image view. So this one here, we've got 3 telescope views here that somebody's captured in this Solar System Explorer quest, this learning activity. We've got the solar telescope in the Canary Islands on the left. We've got looks like probably a half-meter telescope view of the moon, really difficult to do. Got a black and white image of Mars there when there's no dust storm, so we can actually see some features. This was a special quest that we did for the Halloween Blue Hunters moon. We'll flick through them quite quickly. We go into quite a lot of curriculum-related learning activities as well. This particular one is one of my favorites. It's about the life cycle of stars. So what you can see here is student captures images of a whole bundle of stars. Some are less massive than our sun, some are more massive, 8 times or more size, the mass of our sun. And it shows you the life cycle that go through, how they end their lives, how they start their lives and stuff like that, which is, I love that one. This is another quest. This is one of our starter quests. This is called Nifty Nebulae. And this is, most of the quests are designed to teach, and when we talk about students, we talk about, it's not just school students, it's lifelong students, it's all of us as well. So each quest is, oh, I'm just going to welcome Joseph in. He can become a panelist as well as if he likes. So Joseph, welcome. So all of the quests are designed to teach astronomical concepts while also teaching how to use the platform, or at least the starter quests are. So here we've got a quest which, you know, teaches you about 4 different types of nebulae, which is quite cool. I was so disappointed this week. I looked at Orion and Orion's gone. It's disappeared into our evening dusk skies. So my goodness, we miss a lot of objects. But the upside is the featured objects that are going to come live on the site tomorrow are some of those summer wonders in Sagittarius and those southern areas of the sky. So we've got the Eagle Nebula, we've got what else have we got down there? We got the Lagoon Nebula, Swan Nebula. There's a whole bunch of objects down there that look absolutely remarkable. But anyway, come on, let's skip through some of these. Oh, I got to click on it. I will apologize tonight. It might be a bit clunky because, you know, I am juggling machines. This is from our solar telescope. So this is a quest which teaches members about the sun, about solar features, but also a lot of our quests talk about how the night sky marks the passage of time. And that can be from lunar phases, like we saw earlier, through to the sun. So here we're tracking over several days, you know, a huge active region rotating as the sun comes around. And we have seen over the last couple of months, there have been a couple of active regions that have been so strong and so long lasting. We actually see them disappear and then come back about a week later. And of course, they're given a new number there as well. But my goodness, we have seen some absolutely astonishing solar activity recently. There is. Now, if you are new, David, Steve, I don't know if anybody else, I don't know if Joseph or Scott are new to Slooh or have seen this. That is a live, well, that was the live view in the Canary Islands Observatory half-meter telescope. So what we've got is we've got this pattern which processes astronomical data in real time. Yes, David, you got a question?
Yeah, I do. Could you actually see the color? Is this,
yes.
Are these real colors?
Yes, they are.
You know, through our 16-inch telescope we have at Valley College, we have a 16 Celestron 16. You can see a little bit of blue, and that's about it. You don't see the purple and the red.
No, so this is from the live. So what happens, I think when we hop over to the live telescope views tonight, we're going to see that both observatories are closed because we've got Cloud World Chilis open a little bit later. But this is the live view. So we have this patented process that uses, I don't know, you know, it sounds, David, like you're looking visually through stuff. Well, all of the Canary Islands and Chile observatories have these things, these ultra cool, huge CCD cameras, and they have a huge filter wheel on the front of it. Now, these acquire long exposures, and the exposures for this particular image of the Orion Nebula, there was a 50-second exposure through one filter, and then a bunch of 25-second exposures that came after that. And that's what Slooh has this pattern for, this real-time processing of that astronomical data, which then streams up to the server. And that's what students and members see in the live telescope portal. It's such a shame we won't have live views tonight. But David, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you. So this image is actually a color image derived by using these different filters. Then it's a stacked image. Okay, and Slooh does this all automatically, so they'll see a composite image.
Absolutely. So what they'll do, if we were watching, so we'll have to wait a couple of months before we can see the Orion Nebula return to pre-dawn skies. But if you were watching a mission, and a mission is a 5 or 10 minute period where one user is pointing the telescope to a particular target, but all members can watch all missions. So we're not what I call a one-to-one telescope rental service. There's loads of other places you can go for that. This is about the community. This is about sharing. We call this as kind of celestial jukebox. One person's controlling the telescope while everybody else can watch it. So what they see, if you're looking at the live view, is first of all, the grayscale image comes in. And that's actually the most important part of the data that's acquired by these cameras and telescopes, because that provides the detail. And you think about the red, green, and blue filtered images that are processed in real time. They kind of provide a color wash over the top. We do have one telescope, which is the Canary 3 telescope, which uses a single shot color camera. So that actually provides, out of the box with no processing. Well, we have to do some processing, but out of the box color images. But let's hop through these quite quickly. So if you're, this is one of my favorite quests. So what we often recommend when schools start up, and now we've got this new family membership as well, which is proving incredibly popular, by the way. It's kind of like a Netflix membership. So parent, actually, we're seeing a lot of grandparents sign up for a family membership, which you can do for the year, or you can do monthly. And then you get 4 other memberships that you can give to your friends or family. All right. So this is proving very, very popular. But what we always recommend is when people are starting out is start one of these collection quests. So this is the Messier collection. So the Messier catalogue, if you don't know what this is, Charles Messier was a comet hunter. He was called the ferret of comets by the king at the time, the French king at the time. And he was hunting for comets, but he kept spotting all of these fuzzy objects, which he thought were comets. He'd get really excited that he made a new discovery, but then find out, oh, it's the Crab Nebula again. So he decided to catalogue where these things were so that he wouldn't confuse them. The catalogue was built over a number of years by other astronomers. There's 110 objects in this. Is one of our best collection quests. It is possible to collect all 110 objects in a single night in a Messier marathon. But the collection quest, what we like to stress there is optimize your targets. So capture an object when it's highest in the sky, when the moon's out of the sky, when conditions are perfect. Collection quests are all about grabbing the best image you can. But all of those images were from snaps from the live feeds. Here we've got lunar phases quest. So this teaches everybody about lunar phases. You capture lunar phases in every single one. We've got an NGSS version of that quest as well, if anybody is a teacher. But hey, listen, let's get back to the Slooh website, shall we? So don't forget, everybody, including Joseph and Scott, I will try and promote you to a panelist as well. You can accept that if you want to be able to interact with audio and video. Don't feel you have to do that. You can always ask a question in Q&A if you like. But anyway, so here we are. So that's the end point. All right, so those quest posters are the end point. So everything else I show you is going to lead to those. So here we are, we're a logged in user. We land on the dashboard. What we've got front and center here is the quest map. The quest map is split down into 3 regions: observation, learning, and heritage, because we're not just about the science of astronomy. We love the cultural aspects, we love the historical aspect, we love the mythology as well. And in fact, Milton here tonight is author of some of our cultural quests, some of the most brilliant quests we've ever had. So thank you very much for that, Milton. Inca Moon down here is one of his. But anyway, I'll show you quests a little bit later. So we'll just go through the actual dashboard itself. So everything that people do on Slooh is rewarded with what we call gravity points. Gravity points are our currency, if you like. So here you can see we've got several levels which reflect famous astronomers. I'm the top level. We've got 3 new levels to add because a few of us have kind of hit the ceiling on this, but you also get badges for the quests that you complete, and you get badges if you've got particular favorite objects and things like that. We can see in my most recent gravity action, literally everything you do on Slooh earns you gravity points. So all of the right hand side, and I'm not going to go through in detail on this today, but all of the stuff on the right hand side is your own activity and the community activity. So you can see here the community leaders over the last 10 days. Bjorn from the University of Oldenburg is doing so well. He's been a member for about 5 years now, and last month, two months ago, they built this huge observatory at their University of Oldenburg in Germany, and they came across exactly the same problems that everybody else gets. Weather, difficult to operate, and of course, when it's nighttime in Germany, most of his students are not able to attend the observatory. So they've got that, but they also now use Slooh for their activities. And actually they've been doing some terrific work recently. But anyway, so we've got community leaderboards and stuff like that, and schools. Actually, look, University of Oldenburg have just taken the lead from one of our Indian schools, Alcon's Eyes of the Sky. Swiftwater astronomers are coming up very quickly. This Swiftwater astronomers is an elementary school, would you believe? Now, Nicolette Letellier, the teacher there, is an absolute space nut. And this is what we're finding. Oh, actually, this is a new one here. Debbie SciTech with 23 members is this high. I need to look up who this is. These are off my radar. So I normally know most of our leaders in the community, but that is totally new to me. I need to check that out, see who that is. Ivy Tech. Anyway, Nicolette, she does some of our PD webinars, and so David, Steve, ex-teachers, adjunct educators now, you can have a look at any of our previous professional development webinars that our educators have done. I'll show you where that is a little bit later. So anyway, that's all about social on the right-hand side. But here we've got the quest map, show you that a little bit later. We've got the object map, because I don't know if any of you are telescope owners, but I waited until 18 years ago before I got a telescope. And it was because I didn't get a telescope before then, not because I wasn't interested in astronomy, but I didn't know. I just thought to myself, I wouldn't have a clue where to point the telescope. So 18 years ago, though, we had the advent of go-to telescopes that could be hooked up to computers. Two of my great loves then. So we got astronomy, and I can hook it up to a telescope. My very first night, my Meade LX 200 10-inch telescope, as soon as I set it up, I said, Slooh to Jupiter. I had it voice controlled on the first night. Off it went. That was it. That was me absolutely hooked. So that's fine with a go-to telescope. You know what to look at. But a lot of people who buy telescopes, they'll look at the planets, they'll look at the moon, they might look at maybe a globular star cluster, a couple of stars, bright objects. But when it comes to galaxies and nebulae, David, you were talking about a Celestron 16-inch telescope, and you look at one of the brightest nebulae in the night sky, the Orion Nebula. Actually, it can be pretty underwhelming for people, and it kind of doesn't meet expectations, because when you buy one of these telescopes, you look at the box, and the box has got these beautiful images, normally stolen from Hubble and stuff like that. So expectations really aren't met. But anyway, what we've done is we've got a curated list called the Slooh 1000, and these are the best and most interesting objects. So the best looking and the most interesting objects in the night sky. So here we can see a map of the entire night sky from the North Pole to the South Pole. This is where the two telescopes, the two observatories come in. We've got the Northern Hemisphere in the Canary Islands, so we can see the Northern Hemisphere skies. We've got what I believe are the far richer skies. I do think that people in the Southern Hemisphere have got the richest skies. So here we can see everything that's in dark blue and the little white dots that are in it, we can view tonight in the telescope. So we can see a variety of objects here. We can, so if I get rid of a little thing down here, we can say, we can filter this by object type. And this is quite interesting as far as educators are concerned. So if we were to look at, some of you might spot a pattern in there already, but let's filter on nebulae. Let's see where the emission nebulae are. And look at this. It traces out this very specific path, this huge S shape coming over the sky. If we did it on all nebulae, I think we'd probably see that we'd still see that predominantly this huge S shape. Now, we're in the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy, we can see this in our all-sky cameras. In fact, if everybody can see Melton's Pip in Zoom, you'll see that he's actually got the Milky Way as the background. So we're embedded within this disk of stars and gas, and that's where all the nebulae are, or the majority of nebulae are in our night sky, and that the Milky Way actually traces out this huge S pattern across the sky. This is a great learning point, and I know a lot of teachers are using this. I'm just going to filter on a different object type. So globular clusters, look at this. We've totally lost that S pattern. Globular clusters are these ancient cities of hundreds of millions of stars, and most of them orbit the Milky Way. So they're not tied to the Milky Way's disk. They're actually orbiting around it. So we see them above that S shape and below that S shape. Anyway, it's a bit geeky. So I apologize, Joseph, Scott. I don't know what level you are, so I apologize if we get a bit geeky there. But anyway, that's the object map. So let's take a quick scroll down this left-hand side. By the way, if you are a teacher, then download our Quest curriculum guide. Don't forget, these are our quests and these are our learning activities. So if I open up this document for you, you can see that each quest is listed on this PDF. You got subjects learned, you got skills learned, you got the types of object captured, and a lot of teachers we're finding are using the OpenStax open source astronomy textbook, and it tells you which chapter it aligns with. So Out with a Bang is an NGSS quest, and it aligns with chapter 23, The Death of Stars, in the OpenStax book. We've also got the K-12 curriculum codes and stuff like that over there as well. So this is a really useful guide, and we have got some of our educators have done professional development webinars. So look up one for middle school with Stephanie, and she explains how she assigns quests over the course of the year, because some quests are seasonal, and she follows this whole pattern throughout the year. So that's quite good. Anyway, let's take a quick scroll down here. So here we go. All of these, by the way, are linked up the top. You can just kind of scroll straight down to them. So observatories, Canary Islands, boo, offline. We'll go over to it in a sec. We'll see why it's offline. Chile is offline because it's just not dark there yet. So we can click here and we can see what time. The current time is 21:28 UTC. The nighttime telescope, so it opens in an hour and a quarter. We've got sunset and sky rating and all sorts of things. So here we've got missions. Yes, David. You're still muted. This is great, David. We like people asking questions, so this is great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for stopping for the question. Going back to the curriculum guide for just a second, is that curriculum guide organized by grade levels? In other words, K through 12s, college, community colleges, or here in the United States we call them community colleges, and then university level.
So in here on the actual quest map itself, you can filter by elementary, middle, high school, and college.
Okay.
All right, and this will then highlight. So you can see here, I don't think it's a very good highlight, because the ones that aren't highlighted are in white and the other ones are kind of in a darker color. But the ones in the darker color are the ones that are assessed as being high school. So you can very quickly hone in on that. But David, one of the interesting things that we found when we talked to a lot of educators is, even to the point where when I do a professional development webinar specifically for teachers, got another one coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which you should attend, because we'll talk more in depth about this. But what most of our teachers are finding is in any one class, they have a handful of students, 3 to 6 normally. That seems to be quite a common number, who just totally take to the platform and go streaks ahead of the rest of the class. So what we're finding is that we call them avid astronomers. So those students, the teacher can then actually go up the levels and say, hey, listen, go off and do these quests at the higher level. And what we've also got coming up, our director of curriculum, Dr. John Bover, is developing what we call learning progressions. So this is a series of specific quests in a particular order, which we recommend. So if it's an English teacher, it may revolve around some of the cultural quests or some of maybe the historical quests, which are themed, that they can take their students through. And each one of those learning progressions is designed for a particular period of time and a particular level and a particular interest. So those are going to be coming out for the new school year. So.
The reason why I asked this is that, especially over the last 10 years or so, there's been an effort where we've had the universities kind of cracking down on transfers, and they're looking more closely at our curriculum. And they'll say, well, we want you to do stuff on, okay, galaxies perhaps, but they may go back and say, well, are you doing any activities in your lab dealing with the inverse square law? So,
yeah.
If we had some observation that kind of illustrate these, for example, the effects of the inverse square law, we could say, yes, we're doing this, and it illustrates this particular kind of more of a physics principle, but it's kind of important that we cover that. Otherwise, we've had some universities saying we're not going to accept students doing your lab because it doesn't meet our requirements for that particular lab.
So
cognizant of this.
So what you need to look at is some of John Gianforte's professional development webinars, which he's been using Slooh, the Slooh platform for his astronomy courses at the University of New Hampshire for maybe 4 or 5 years now. And he's got some brilliant content in some of his webinars, which show how he is using Slooh related to the curriculum, and Stephanie as well in the middle schools, and how she's, this is what we found when we started thinking about Slooh for education. We looked at the education curriculum in the USA specifically, and my goodness, it's dry. It's like it's designed to suck out all of the energy and the excitement and the engaging elements of astronomy.
Yeah.
So what we've always struggled with is, okay, we've got to deliver that alignment, that curriculum alignment, but we cannot lose what the online telescope at Slooh is all about, and it is about the engagement. It's about using live telescopes. Every single one of these quests, David, require the student to use the live telescopes, right? And that's one thing that we will never ever compromise on. But if you want to maybe take a look at some other stuff, we've got up there, we've got Kepler's laws, which is a great quest, teaches the 3 laws of 3 laws of planetary motion and stuff like that. So anyway, let's kick off down here. So missions, don't forget, a mission is a 5 or 10 minute period of time when a single user is controlling the telescope to point at a specific object. Now, the easiest way of doing that is here, the featured missions. These are 4 objects that I set up every single week, which I think are the most interesting or the most beautiful objects to look through the night sky. Most of the time, they're related to our seasonal collection quest. So this is how, if you wanted to capture some images of the Omega Centauri globular star cluster, it is as simple as this. It says here, Omega Centauri star cluster, May 28th, 2305, the Chile 2 telescope, join mission. I click join mission. I click it again. So here we've got Omega Centauri, Saturday 28th, 2305, Chile 2 telescope. The weather forecast is clear, join mission. That's it. I have just joined that mission that's going to occur at that time on that particular telescope. On this confirmation page, I can learn more about this particular object. So every single one of the Slooh 1000 objects has its own object page. And here we can see, oh, that's a cracker. So the first thing on this page on the object guide is the most recent observation. Now, an observation is an image that anybody's captured with the telescopes and they share with the community. And this is the most recent one. This is why I love this. So this is the gray scale image that this particular person has chosen to, I love this object. That's why I set it up to be a featured object so often. It's one of the first objects we looked at when we had the Chile observatory come online. But anyway, sorry, you'll know me by now. I'm like a dog with squirrels. I see a beautiful object and I start getting carried away. Anyway, in here we've got basic information about the particular object. We've got visibility graphs over the year. So here we can see the canary eye. So this is really important. It's a really important aspect of teaching astronomy. It's about the seasonality of objects, about the visibility of objects in the southern or northern hemisphere. So here we can see the Canary Islands, and this is a visibility chart over the entire year, June over to the end of the year. And we can see that it just about scrapes above the horizon, but only to about 14 degrees elevation, which is too low for the Canary Islands, right? So basically it's not visible from the Canary Islands. We could do if we overrode some settings, but let's have a look at the visibility from Chile. So here we go. We're still in this lovely zone. This is a terrific time to be observing this. And the blue lines, if you can see these on here, this is the lunar phase, because we teach people that when you're using CCD cameras like this, the moon is as good as light pollution. So it's actually pretty good for a globular cluster, but for faint objects like nebulae and galaxies, you really want to be scheduling your missions when there's no moonlight to spoil the view. So there's loads of other information on here as well. As I said earlier, it's not just about the science at Slooh, it's about the history, it's about the culture, everything else. What we've got here is what we call Burnham's Corner. I don't know if you can see on my bookshelf behind here, but there are 3 volumes of Burnham's Celestial Handbook. And these give a great historical perspective on how objects were seen in the past. So let's have a look at this. So this looks like, which one is this? It looks like the Pinwheel Galaxy. Yeah, it is. It's a Pinwheel Galaxy. So, you know, we can see here how it looked 100 years ago in that particular image. Probably took about 3 hours or something to take the exposure of an old-fashioned camera and stuff like that. But it's really fascinating to see how our understanding of some of these objects has changed over the years. And that normally entails the technology that we observe them with as well. So we've actually got one quest which talks about the Andromeda Galaxy, which for most of its observational period was called the Andromeda Nebulae, because we didn't know that we were in a galaxy and there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of galaxies beyond our own. So it talks about Hubble and stuff like that. But anyway, this is an object page. I just want to hop up here, and we've got illuminations posts. So we talk about the science, we talk about the culture. These are articles, like blog articles, that kind of contextualize our understanding of each object. Ask an Astronomer, AAA. That's where any student or any member can ask a question about a specific object and Slooh's astronomers answer it. Any star parties like this, which are related to the particular object. Observations is always a great place to come if you want some inspiration to see what the Slooh telescopes are capable of. Observations are images captured with the telescopes, which are shared by members. And this particular one is shared by, it's sorted by most popular. Oh, that's a pretty nice one, isn't it? Oh, those blue stragglers. Blue stragglers. There are blue straggler stars in this and many, many globular clusters. It's one of those terms. Astronomy's got a few really good terms in it, hasn't it? Blue stragglers, oblate spheroid. Feel free to pile in if you've got your own favorite astronomical bit of jargon. But anyway, these are all images that Slooh members have shared. They're not just real-time snaps. Some of these have been processed as well. These are the most popular. And don't forget, everything on Slooh that you do, so just sharing an observation earns you gravity points. Every time somebody likes or somebody comments on your observation, you earn gravity points. And it's amazing how all members have actually taken to gravity points. We thought that old hand members, we knew it would be popular with kind of kids who do a lot of gaming and stuff like that, because it's that kind of thing. It's MVPs. We have MVPs as most valued players for particular objects. In fact, I think if we scroll down, actually, where is that? I think it's on the overview page. I think it probably lists the 3 MVPs. There we go. So Shirin's one of our students in India. We've got Dek there, Van Shika as well. They're the people who have had most activity related to this particular object. But anyway, it's really, really popular. I'm going to come back to this page a little bit later, but I normally hop over to the live telescope pages well before this, excuse me. So I'm going to hop over now and we'll see why I haven't hopped over quicker. So here we go. I just clicked on the little dome icon then, and here we've got 3 telescopes in Chile. They're offline because it's not nighttime yet there. Chile 3 is only used for special events anyway. It's got a video camera on the back of it. But here we've got the Canary Islands telescopes, Canary 1, which is a 1/2 meter telescope, Canary 2, which is a 17-inch telescope, Canary 3, David, is that one that I was telling you that had the single shot color camera on the back of it. That's a 11-inch telescope. It's called a RASA. It's a very specialist telescope where the camera is actually on the front of the telescope. You can't look through it. Even if you wanted to, you could not look through the Canary 3 telescope. Canary 4 telescope is for the planets and close-up views, small planetary nebulae, stuff like that. Canary 5 is our solar telescope, which operates during the day. But let's hop over. If we just clicked on one of these, we'll see why it's offline. So I click on that. This is normally where the live telescope view would appear. And it's not here. And the reason why it's not here, we can have a look at our all sky camera. If I click on this, there it is. Here are the domes over here, these 2 huge white blobs over here, and the huge white blob up here is pesky clouds. Who'd have thought it? The one time I do a weekend webinar and we've got clouds at the observatory, but anyway, we can still see a few stars through it. But anyway, the domes are closed. In this particular camera view, we can see meteors, we can see the constellations, we can see the changing night sky, we can see the moon cross, stuff like that. We've got some time lapses as well here. Actually, let's take a look at one of the time lapses. See if we can have a look at that. See, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to teach students. That was last night. So we just saw there at the end of the night. So we've got some great planets visible at the moment. We've got Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, Venus there. But there's the Milky Way. Did I see a meteor or maybe the International Space Station then? Let's take a look. No, maybe not. But anyway, then it carries on during the day. You get the gist. But anyway, unfortunately, I can't show you the live views tonight, but I can show you some that I prepared earlier. So let's go back to the dashboard and we'll carry on going down here. So we can click on photos at the moment. So live telescopes are great, right? But we had 64 people register for this session. We got 8 of us here. It's difficult. It's difficult to do stuff live. So we're not expecting students and users to only be able to watch and snap images from the live feed. So if you set up a mission like we did before, we're going to set up another one in a second. All of the data, all of the photos and all of the FITS data are saved for you. So here's my photo roll. So there's the Great Hercules cluster. We've got here, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same. We've got there's a black eye galaxy there. We've got the hamburger galaxy here. You can see these are missions from last night. I did not stay up and watch these live, but I scheduled the missions and all of the data is automatically saved for me here. And if we hop back to that, you can also see there's one of my solar captures the other day. We can sort and filter through all of these because it doesn't take long before you land up with an awful lot of images. Let's sort on solar system and we'll apply that filter and we'll see all of these change. And what I'd like to show you is some of the solar action that we've seen recently. Oh, look at this. So this is the solar telescoping. Oh, I haven't looked at this image before. I snapped it, but I haven't looked at it in this detail. Wow. So this was snapped from a live feed. So the solar telescope is slightly different to the nighttime telescopes. It has a video camera on the back of it because we don't need the sensitivity. It's a special telescope that instead of being 1/2 meter in diameter with an ultra sensitive CCD camera strapped to the back of it, our challenge when we're observing the sun is to stop as much light as possible reaching us. So hi, Scott. Thank you very much. Just seeing that. Do ask any questions if you've got any, Scott, out there. I will try and keep an eye open. But we're actually rejecting 99.99999% of the actual light that's coming from the sun, and we're looking at a very narrow bandwidth, which is from the hydrogen alpha line. And here we can see, so here's the sun. The Earth in comparison is around the size of this little smudge here. See this little smudge? This is a filament. This is a huge arc of superheated plasma, which is jumping out from the surface of the sun and being sculpted by the sun's magnetic field lines. And here, over here, we can see a huge number of sunspots. We can see another active region here, huge active region here, more filaments here, and just up here, you probably might not be able to see it in the screen share, but I can just see something which is beyond the edge of the sun, and that's a filament. But when it's a filament on the edge of the sun, it's actually called a prominence. But that feature there is exactly the same as this feature here, is exactly the same as these features down here. They're filaments, these huge plumes of superheated plasma. So anyway, that's one of my favorite telescopes. So you don't have to be watching the live missions to be able to snap images. But one of the benefits, if the telescopes were online tonight, if that pesky cloud had gone away, we'd be able to watch the live image streams, and we'd be able to watch everybody else's missions, and we'd be able to hit a little camera button which would snap a live image from that particular telescope feed. So that's where the celestial jukebox comes in. But anyway, I want to show you very quickly some other ways of setting up a mission. So this is controlling the telescope. So we can hit missions here. We can also hit this dome icon up here, and we can say mission setup. And the easiest way that students and new members can schedule a mission is to the Slooh 1000. And this is a 3-step process. And the first step is we choose the object category. And what we can see here is we're kind of split down into different domains. We've got the solar system, which is everything in our solar system. So it's the sun, it's the moon, it's the planets. We've also got comets in there as well. We've also got minor planets, which are asteroids as well. Then we go out to the Milky Way domain, which has got stars, nebulae, star clusters, and stars in it. And then we go out to deep space, where we've got galaxies of various types, and we've got quasars out there as well. And you can scroll down this list. So these are the object types that we've got. So you can see we've got star clusters there, we've got nebulae there. So don't forget I showed you that quest right at the beginning about nifty nebulae, and you can learn about each one of those. Galaxies, look at all the different types of galaxies we've got in here. Then we're down to stars, we've got double stars, supernova remnants, and we've got a whole stack of name stars as well. But all you've got to do, anybody got a particular category they would like me to choose? If not, I will go straight in. Anyway, I'm going to go last call. Right, I'm going emission nebulae. There we go. Right, what's happening now? Slooh servers are buzzing into action. This is the Slooh recommendation engine. It's going through the Slooh 1000 catalog of objects, and it's searching for all of the emission nebulae which are visible over the next 7 days in any of the telescopes in the Canary Islands or Chile. It then gives us this list in step 2, and the ones that are shown in bold are visible in the telescopes at some point over the next 7 days. There might be some gray ones. Yeah, there's a couple of gray ones here. Those are not visible at the moment, might be too close to the sun, might be too close to the moon to be able to observe at the moment. So we can crawl down here. Here we've got some of my favorites, the Eagle Nebula, Eta Carinae Nebula, definitely one of my favorites. I don't know why, but students seem to rather like the fighting dragons. They particularly like that object. But anyway, Gabriel Mistral, that's a great one as well. Lagoon Nebula is another great one. Looks absolutely brilliant in the live feeds. Tarantula Nebula, I've got to go Tarantula. Oh no, let's go Thor's Helmet. Thor's Helmet's good. So I click that. That's number 2. That's the only second step that I've done so far. I know I'm gabbling on about it. I press preview mission. We're going into step 3 then. Jump, talk amongst yourselves. There we go. It's saying, I'm setting up an emission nebulae for Thor's Helmet. It's chosen for me this particular time, 2300 hours, Saturday, it's tonight, Chile 2 telescope. I press schedule mission. That's it. I have just set up a mission that telescope at 2300 hours, and the schedule actually shows this in EDT and PDT as well. But I have just said, please, Slooh, at 2300 hours, use the Chile 2 telescope tonight, point it to Thor's helmet and capture a load of images for me. 15 minutes before the mission is due to start, I'll get an email and I'll get a reminder as well on the website, on the alerts up here saying my mission is about to start, but you also get this email as well. If you can watch it live, great. It's really exciting to do that. If not, don't worry. All of your photos are going to be stored for you safely. Now, if you are advanced, and we also have advanced students who have, yes, David, yes.
Oh, while you're talking about these missions here, what is the run? What is the actual, when it says it schedules an observation for you? First of all, I assume that it's avoiding other requests. When you put in a request, the server is scheduling your session around what's been already scheduled for other people. That's number one.
So okay. We can hop over here to by telescope, excuse me, and we can see tonight's schedule. So here we've got the nighttime telescopes here, and here we can scroll down here. This is Chile 1 telescope. So we can scroll down. There's some open slots there as well for tonight. So if you are, if you're a teacher or the head of family on those particular memberships, you can actually schedule using this method as well. All right, so I can go over to the Chile 2 telescope and I can scroll down this schedule and I can find an empty slot, and there will be one, I bet you. There you go. So this is tonight, 0320, and I can schedule still using the Slooh 1000 method. So I can say, well, okay, show me all of the reflection nebulae which are visible in this time slot for this telescope. It's done the same thing. Here we go. It's given me a list of the available Toby Jug Nebula. Let's go for that one. And I've just scheduled a mission at a specific time on a specific telescope. But a student account can't do that. But I'll show you in another little trick that you can do there. But while I'm here, so we can see here that this is tonight's mission schedule. We've got a mission scheduled by Johanna here of the Eta Carinae Nebula, 0235, which is 1035 EDT. And you can see these three little dots. I'm going to click those three little dots. I'm going to say join this mission. I will now get a reminder that that mission is going to run. But if I can't watch it live, all of the images and data from that mission are going to be available for me in my photo roll tomorrow morning. All right, so students can not only, Trifid Nebula actually, oh, I'd like one of those. Trifid Nebula, sorry, I always call it Trifid. Trifid Nebula. You can set up your own missions, but you can also join other people's, and you can watch all of the live feeds and snap images from those. So David, got any other questions based on that?
Yeah, thank you for answering that one. The other question which I had was, what is a standard imaging run? It looks like it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so it's 5 minutes for all telescopes except the Canary 1. The Canary 1 telescope, which is a half-meter telescope, which is 20 inches in old money, those missions are 10 minutes long. So it gathers, you can see here, it gathers more data. But what you can do, of course, is you can capture. So Bjorn Popp from the University of Oldenburg, he published an image the other day where he and his students had collected, I think it was 90 missions worth of data, and then did their own photo processing on that. Because a teacher account and also a family head member and also our old apprentice and astronomer member accounts gets what's called FITS data. So FITS data is, it's the raw format that comes out of a CCD camera like this one. It's a scientific format, it's lossless, but that's what we process in real time. But if you're doing science, so if you're doing astrometry, measuring the position of, let's say, an asteroid in relation to the surrounding background stars, or you're measuring the brightness of a variable star in photometry, then you need the FITS data to work to, that scientific data to work to, rather than the PNGs that are there. I've just got a question here coming in from Scott. Paul, if you have time, might you please show us how teachers and students would access the FITS files from their missions? We'd like to process those using JS9 tools, which our students already, oh, that's really, really cool, Scott, that your students are already using that. So I'll show you straight away, because we are reaching our end of time now. So I'm going back to the dashboard. I'm going to go back to my photo roll. All right. And the place you want to go to for your FITS data is you have to go to your missions tab. So we've got photo roll, observations, mission tabs, quest data and other stuff. Missions tab. So this shows you a single card for each of your missions. So if we hover over one of these, we can see down here we've got some hamburger galaxy mission, actually with a satellite streak going through that particular image. But what you can see here is when you hover over the image, it says contains FITS data. I click on that. So this was with the Canary 1 telescope, and here we can see the FITS data. So we've got a whole bunch of file names. There is a guide that tells you exactly what each one of these is. Scott, the view FITS button actually opens the FITS data in JS9, because we use JS9 as the viewer for FITS, but equally you can just click that button and download it. One of the members, by the way, has actually developed a nice little script which will go through all of your missions and download all of that data for you. Now, don't forget, a basic student account doesn't get access to FITS data, but a teacher account does. So what we land up with is some teachers who are wanting to, sounds like what you're doing, extending out and using the raw FITS data, is they set up their missions and they share that FITS data with their students. But we also have a different student account type. We have student basic and we have student pro. A student pro account also gets access to FITS data and also gets access to the advanced method of scheduling a mission, so they can select the date, the time, the telescope and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm not going to open one of those FITS files because it actually has to download locally before we can upload that. I just want to go back because I wanted to show you one other thing for student accounts, which I'm making sure I cover this in every single webinar style party that I do. I'm going to go back to mission setup here. And what I showed you before was a student setting up, scheduling a mission using the Slooh 1000 method, this three-step process, selecting the category, the object type, selecting the object. And Slooh chose the day, the time, the telescope that was going to be used for that particular mission. Well, that is quite restrictive. It's actually fine for most students, but there's a better way. So if we go out to the little magnifying search bar here, we'll go in here, let's do a search for, if I use my right keyboard, the number of times I do this when I'm using two machines and I use the wrong keyboard and I wonder why on earth is that not coming up. So I just typed M51 there because I happen to know that M51 is the Whirlpool galaxy. And this search is for the guide. We've got loads of guides, by the way. If you want to learn more about the equipment and stuff like that, go off to the Canary Islands and Chile Observatory guides. You learn about the constellations, famous astronomers, the object types and stuff like that. But we're interested in one of the Slooh 1000 object guides. And there was one tab that I didn't talk about earlier, and it is the most important as far as students, the student capability of scheduling a mission is concerned. And it's the missions tab. So don't forget, before, the only thing we could do was select the object type and select the object, excluded everything else. Well, here we are on the mission tab of the Whirlpool galaxy. And here we can see it's a page, and already it's showing us there's visibility tonight. So if you remember on the overview page, it showed us the visibility of an object over the course of a year. In this particular tab, it's showing us the visibility over the course of the night. So it's showing us altitude, and a lot of our quests once again, why would you schedule a mission down here when the object's really low on the horizon? You're looking through so much turbulent atmosphere when you could have scheduled a mission up here when it's highest in the sky in the night and there's no moonlight around. But coming down here, we can see that it's already showing us 3 different missions to choose from. And this particular one, it's showing us Canary 2. It's showing us also a Canary 4 mission as well at different times. So this straight away is giving a student far better control and choice over when their missions run. So let's say that, they know they can't watch it tonight, but they might know that on Tuesday night or something, they'll be able to watch their missions live. So there you go. I've just selected the date. And if we scroll down now, it's giving us 3 different telescope missions on that particular night and 3 different times. So I wouldn't schedule that. I'm going to go back on that because actually, if we look at the visibility chart up here, we know we want to schedule as close to 2200 as possible. So that's when it's at transit up here. So we can do 2230 is going to be the optimum mission. Canary 1, the half-meter telescope, schedule mission. Thank you very much. It did tell us the forecast is light clouds, so we probably steer clear of that. Excuse me, my mouse just dropped off. But anyway, we have just scheduled that mission. So that's a really, really important element or an important part of Slooh, which a lot of students miss. But anyway, I do want to show you one other very quick thing before I hand over to everybody for any other questions. I'm just clicking on a quest here. It's the Nifty Nebula quest. It's one of the quests I mentioned earlier. It's one of the ones that we suggest you start with. You can see here, if you are an educator, it's got a whole stack of stuff about the OpenStax chapter and the NGSS standards, which are associated to this particular quest. All quests are structured in exactly the same way. They're split into steps. They have information steps in there, but in this one, we've got 4 steps for the 4 different types of nebulae. Going down here, a lot of the quests now include a lot of video, which is a lot more consumable for a lot of students. But we'll scroll down here. This little element here is if a student has just joined Slooh, they're not going to see an image here. They're going to see a button here that says Find Image. It's going to take them to a page. And that particular page for this quest, for this particular step, would show them any images that they captured of emission nebulae. If they haven't gotten an image of an emission nebula, then they're going to be taken to a schedule page, which will show them a choice of emission nebulae, and they can schedule direct from within the quest. Once they've done that, they return. If the mission runs, they return here, and there's the image that they've captured. You then go through. This is automatically populated. So this is the end of each step. Always requires some kind of input by the student. It might be an observation. What can they see? What can they determine? What have they learned above about an emission nebula, and what can they see in their particular image that they've captured? So this particular one, there's the image that they've captured, and down below they're writing a note. These could equally be multi-choice questions or a number of other things that they can do that finish off each step. And if you remember right at the very beginning, a lot of those beautiful posters that I was showing you, every single quest culminates in either a poster or an animation. An animation might be capturing a Jovian day at opposition. So we have an animation module where the student collects all of the images from Jupiter over the course of a whole night, or they might capture Pluto images over the course of several nights to replicate Clyde Tombaugh's discovery of Pluto. And that actually makes an animated GIF of their images at the end of it. They can align them within the tool and stuff like that. But let's take a look at emission nebulae, and we scroll down and we see the last step, and the exploration ends. Come down here, time to create your poster. There it is. So all of the images that they've captured using the live telescopes are automatically inserted in the poster. They can download a high resolution version of this, which is suitable for printing down at your local print shop. Most of the posters are kind of, I think the longest dimension is about 7,000 pixels or something like that. So these things look absolutely brilliant when they're printed out. But that's the culmination of every single quest. So anyway, I think we've overrun a little bit. It has been a little bit scattergun tonight. I apologize for that, but I am happy to take any questions. By the way, if you want to look at any of the previous webinars, click the hamburger bar down to star parties. So this is the one that we're doing now. We've got a couple coming up. We've got, that's Keith and Gretchen, two of the people who are with us tonight. They do a great little star party over on our Discord server, and I'm doing one, I think, right, for teachers and parents on June 9th. So come and join me for that one, because that would be a good one. But anyway, you can watch any of our professional development webinars from our teachers. So elementary, this is Nicolette Atelier, using Slooh in the classroom. That's John Gianforti in college. So you can watch any of their previous webinars as well, which are quite handy. So. Right. Any questions, everybody? Scott, got any other questions? Joseph, you've been quite quiet. David, got any other questions? What can I show you? What can I tell you about Slooh? I've worn you all out, haven't I? Worn you all out.
I do have a question. I'm a little fuzzy as to, our lab classes are conducted at night, because we've been using, we have 8 Celestron 8-inch telescopes we can put the students on. We have about 25 students per class. So the class meets during 3-hour period at night, once a week. So I'm just trying to get a sense of how this is structured. I guess it's possible to schedule an observation of 1 or 2 objects for the time, if you're lucky enough to get the telescope during the time the class meets. So the data is collected. I guess you can download it immediately, if it happens to fall during that 3-hour time period the class is meeting. But what if it does not? What do you do in that class time?
So typically, if teachers who are actually using Slooh within their classrooms, the teacher account will set up missions specifically during that class time. So they get to have an advanced mission, which is by telescope. So if your class, don't forget, you can schedule up to 7 days in advance. So let's say you're doing the life cycle of stars, and you want to show some planetary nebulae. You can click through here. So we've gone to the Canary 4 telescope. We can click through to whichever day your class is, and you can come down here and you can select your time slot for whenever your class is. We can hop down here, choose category, go down to planetary nebulae, see what's visible at that particular time. Blinking planetary, cat's eye is always a great one to look at. The Owl Nebula, Ring Nebula is probably one of the best ones to see, especially with this particular telescope, because it has a small field of view. So the teacher would typically go through and schedule missions if they want to use them live in the class. But don't forget that every single student has their own account as well. So typically, what you'll see is, so University of Oldenburg, University of New Hampshire, they typically assign the quest which is related to whatever they're covering in the class. And in fact, University of Oldenburg are using gravity points as being their grading system as well. So they were telling their students, these are the quests that you've got to do. And in addition to that, so each quest earns them a number of gravity points, but in addition to that, you need to do certain activity on the Slooh platform that earns you 3,000 gravity points, and that will earn you your grade. Now, what I'm not showing you here, Dave, because this is more of a general kind of star party, but if you join me on June the 9th, we've got some utilities in your teacher account where you go to your workspace, because you have your own workspace. It's like a forum, which is a private forum just for your students, a teacher. So if you have a starter pack of a teacher plus 30 students, you can make as many workspaces as you like, and you can put different students in each one. And we find Some teachers are putting their avid astronomer students in one, so that the conversation doesn't kind of overwhelm everybody else. But so you then invite students into each one of those because you've made the purchase. They get an email, they come in, they're then assigned the individual quest, which is related to whatever that particular teacher is teaching in that particular course. But what you also get there as a teacher, you can go into that and you see a list of all of your students. You can see the progress that each student has made in a quest. So that nifty nebula quest, I think, had 6 or 7 steps in it. You'll see that Joe Bloggs is on step 3, right, for every single one. They can also, for every single quest, you can download a PDF report. So this up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the student would have to download this and send this to their teacher. But now the teacher can actually go into their own account and they can download all of their students' quest reports and see the answers that they've given, the images that they've captured, and things like that. So
thank you.
Any other questions, folks? David, don't worry if you have got more. Feel free to monopolize me if nobody else has got any. It's a great opportunity. So, Scott, anything we can help you with? If Scott's still here, Scott's still here. Okay. Well, I think yes, David.
I wonder if nobody else is going to ask. I have to ask about the, or maybe you could refer me to a place on the site that talks about the costs and, you know, is it per student or per class? You know, I'm a little fuzzy on that.
Okay, so if we hop over to education, so hopefully the new pricing is here. So if you're an educator, we've got three different places that you'd go. If you're just a sole teacher, you can buy a teacher account. All of our accounts are annual, and it's $199 for a teacher account. What we don't tell you, it's a nice surprise when you buy a teacher account, is you actually get 3 free student accounts with it. So for $199, you get a teacher account, which can schedule those advanced missions, but you also get 3 student accounts with it as well. And I think that's probably on this page. Actually, this is the schools page. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong keyboard again. Oh, don't hit return on a different keyboard after you've tried to change the URL. So if we come down here, oh look, there's a good example of the live view of the moon that we didn't unfortunately see tonight, but I would think probably on here. Right, here we go. So there's the family membership at the moment, which gets 1 master account and 4 sub accounts, but they don't get the management tools of a teacher. So if we hop down here for teachers, online telescope for teachers, there is a free trial there. That might be ending actually. Free trial there, but this is also down here. I know this is all changing. So it's a $199 account anyway, but if you're then wanting to purchase for, it's not really a school, but it's for a classroom, the cost there is for a starter pack. I wonder if it has been updated on here. Let's have a look, because this only changed this week. Right, here we go. So starter pack, yes, it has been updated. So this has come down in price. So you've got a 1 teacher account and 30 student basic accounts is $649 a year. So David, if you go to the education.slooh.com website and click on the schools page, this is where you'll find this information. And this you can just purchase straight away off the website. So $649. And Scott, I know you've got a question which I'll come on to in a sec. $649 is for an annual account for a teacher and 30 student basic accounts. Now, Scott, if I understand your question, what we found is, well, put it this way, up until about 2 months ago, each student account was assigned to an individual student for the year. But what we found is a lot of astronomy classes were only being taught, some of them as short as a couple of weeks, some a semester. So different periods of time. So an annual account was kind of a little bit wasteful for a lot of schools. So what we've now done is we've allowed teachers to retire a student, which then means that they can reallocate it to another student. So this is really, really, beneficial financially. So let's say you only run your astronomy courses for one semester. You invite your first 30 students in there, you run that course, and then you can retire them. For the next semester, you can invite your next batch of students in. Now, what we're finding is a lot of students are still wanting to keep their accounts. And if you've retired them, if they try and log in, they can actually join up as a normal member. But anyway, so we've got the starter pack there, and that's the minimum class school purchase. But on top of that, a student account is $15 per annum. So if you're 40 students, then you just pay $15 a year for each additional student. But we've also got this other account here, which we are finding a lot of colleges are using this because they want access, Scott, to the FITS data and stuff like that, and the more advanced missions. So the Student Pro account is basically the same account level as the teacher gets, where they can schedule advanced missions. They also have access to processing presets. So I didn't show you that, but we've got a whole stack of catalogs. So if you are doing some science, then you might only want the luminance data, and you can select the processing that's used and the data acquired. So it's basically selecting the filters and the exposure duration for that particular mission, not down to the granular level, because if you want that kind of control, hop over to one of the one-to-one telescope rental services, which are going to cost you $100 an hour to control a telescope like the Canary 1.5 meter telescope. So, but there's a pricing, David. So we are, by the way, redoing the website at the moment because it is quite difficult to find.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. So has Scott got any questions? Just right. Okay, so I've answered Scott's questions as well, so that's good. Want to access FITS data as a teacher, but the students' accounts would not need to. Yep. So you're absolutely fine then, Scott, with just that basic starter pack where the teacher account gets access to the FITS, so you can still share those with your students. Students don't get FITS data from their missions, but it's a good balance. What we're finding is a lot of teachers are this average group, this 3 to 6 students in every class kind of thing. They're actually getting bumped up to having a pro account, so they do get access to those advanced features. So it's been quite interesting actually, and this is why so much is changing at Slooh all the time, because we are trying to react as much as possible to our educators. And really it's only been 2022 which our huge focus has been on educators, but we have just launched our family subscription as well, which is great. So yeah, Gretchen, you took out a family subscription, didn't you?
I did. I have a niece and her husband. He actually used to work for SpaceX. So they're very much into astronomy, and they've got 2 little kids. And so my sister, she's in Michigan as well. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to get them a family membership, and I'm still trying to have them make time to hop on. But it's cool. An excellent deal. It really is.
It is. It's a bit crazy, actually. I did have a word with the boss because I thought it was a bit crazy. So anyway, but what were the other thing that I've noticed actually with the family membership, because this tonight really wasn't focused on educators tonight. This was more of a general one. But David, come back. You can come back to me, and Scott. Email me, paul@slooh.com. if you've got any other specific questions. But otherwise, join me on June the 9th when we'll be going over the educational element of Slooh in far greater detail. We also had a webinar a couple of nights ago, which was with our director of curriculum. So let's just hop back, see if I can get back to the dashboard.
Can you repeat your email address if we want to send you a question later on?
Paul@slooh.com.
Paul, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, nice and simple. We like to keep things as simple as possible. But anyway, if he did a great star party the other night, great webinar the other night, which was this one, using quests in the classroom. So this was Dr. John Bovair, director of curriculum. The whole webinar was about the quest structure, the curriculum, how it relates to core standards, and also he was introducing these learning progressions as well that I was talking about earlier. So you can have a look at that and anything else as well. So anyway, listen, we have run over time. So, but we are a small group. So David, have you got any other questions? Scott, got any other questions?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you for spending the time with
That's
us
great.
and answering all the questions and showing us.
No problem. It's actually the benefit sometimes of having a far smaller group. We were kind of hoping that a Saturday might encourage new people to turn up. So that's great. So Scott, got any other questions for me? So just looking at Q&A and Scott for Scott. So no, it doesn't look like it. Well, anyway, listen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It has been a bit all over the place. Milton, thank you very much. Keith, thank you very much. Gretchen, thank you very much for dropping in as well. Gretchen, Keith, you've got a star party on Tuesday?
Tuesday night. Yeah, join us over on Discord and it'll talk all about everything currently happening. Keith shares his wealth of knowledge, and Jenny will be talking about the sunny, I call it her sunny sun report. So everything that's happening in the sun, prominence, and all of that. And Milton is often there to share some spectacular cultural information that might be applicable. And I'm kind of hoping we might have a show, this meteors. Any word on this meteor shower surprise that might be happening?
I don't know about that. I haven't had a chance to look at the events, but one of the things that we certainly want to do is there's a couple of meteor showers coming up, aren't there, over the summer, and we would like to cover those. I need to get my 2 new meteor cameras that I've built set up ready for that, so that's going to be quite good fun to do that. And of course, the meteor showers are great learning opportunities as well. Comets, orbits, dust.
It's endless.
It goes
right?
on. So I was just showing here Mama Killer Inca Moon. So this is Milton's quest. So Milton, I need to get into this. I haven't had the time. In fact, tomorrow's Sunday. Switch off from work. I'm going to be doing Mama Killer Inca Moon, Milton's quest tomorrow to learn all about that. So anyway, listen, thank you everybody for joining me this evening. I hope to see David and Scott turn up with your students. So I look forward to seeing you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Bye now.